Hey guys, welcome back to News They Ain't Telling You, where politics is just as important as pop culture. It's actually more important, but that's okay. We have a lot of quick news. I know I say that a lot, but we really do have a lot of quick news going on. So let's get going. Delta and CocaCola, which of course are based in Georgia, are standing up finally against the Georgia voting law. That's what we'll call it, voting suppression law. It's great. It's amazing. Delta, Coca-Cola, welcome on board. However, I'm going to need more than just words. I'm going to need actions. Actions speak louder than words. So that's what I need from you guys. I am a Coca-Cola fan. I'm a Pepsi fan. I don't care what I drink. I like them both. But as of right now, I'm not drinking Coca-Cola. So my little, $10 a week or whatever, not a week, that's a lot, but is not going to be going to Coca-Cola. Plus, Britney Spears did the Pepsi commercial, one of the most iconic commercials of all time. So, they got me there. The man was arrested who assaulted the Asian woman in New York City. Turns out he was on what they call life parole for life. He killed his mother when he was 19 years old, and he was let out of prison and did this new idea that Cuomo and de Blasio came up with, which is letting people out and giving them parole for life. I'm all for getting people out of prison who shouldn't be in prison, who've done their time, but killing your mother, I feel like maybe you should be in prison for the rest of your life. And here's proof of it. Randomly assaulting an Asian woman in New York City. Obviously, the threat of going back to prison doesn't scare him. Maybe he did this because he wanted to go back to prison, which is like a thing. All right, so the biggest story of them all, right? Congressman Gaetz is now denying that he had a relationship with a 17-year-old girl. Apparently, there is an ongoing investigation into Congressman Gaetz, and it started under Barr's DOJ, so the Trump administration, and now is going into Merrick Garland's. But the interesting thing is that it's been going on this whole time, and just recently it's leaked. So I'm going to get into that whole sex trafficking, which is what the big thing is here, is that he may have paid this 17-year-old girl to travel with him, which that is sex trafficking. If you are under of age and there's no approval from the parents, that's literally sex trafficking. So I'm going to go into all of that later, but I just want to say Congressman Gaetz, of course, went to Wyoming recently to challenge Liz Cheney and help out the person who's running against Liz Cheney for 2022. And I gotta say, don't go after the Cheneys because El Diablo don't play. And here is proof of it, because I wonder how this got leaked now of all times. But it's a whole big thing with a guy who knows all these Republicans and connection, and they think that he's like, saying names to get out of all this slew of things that he has. So again, I'm gonna get into all that. Major Biden has bit a second person. Thankfully, that person is okay. No blood, nothing. It's all good. However, the way this story was covered when it hit the other day was astronomical. It was like this dog was like having a meeting with Putin, and they were discussing nuclear weapons. It was insane. It was on The Hill, Politico. It was on the front page of all of the liberal Twitter, everything. And I was like, we have a million things going on in the world. I actually made a TikTok video about it because I just was like, how is this the number one story? And then they didn't learn their lesson because a day later, it was like leaked news that one of the dogs went to the bathroom in the White House. Yeah, you guys, they're being dogs. So can we move on now? Ridiculous. More important news now. President Biden has announced a $2 trillion infrastructure plan. It is very exciting. I have no clue how he's going to get this passed. Like I had said the other day, Schumer is already starting to work on possibly doing a recon like we did with the COVID bill, so we don't need 60 votes. But getting someone like Sinema or Manchin should be difficult. Now, Manchin may not be as difficult because here's a little side tidbit. Manchin's wife is now working in the Biden administration, and she is the head of the Appalachian Mountain Committee or whatever. She's highly qualified, everyone. She's highly, highly qualified. However, I don't think that that's random that happens. So we will see. All Iowa Democrat has decided to withdraw her effort to contest her House race. There's this big back and forth between McCarthy and Pelosi and Democrats and Republicans. She lost by 6 votes, which is why she's been battling this out. But proof of this is show up to vote, because this woman we lost a House seat. We lost the potential of gaining a House seat by 6 votes. So if y'all think that your vote doesn't matter, I'm here to tell you, your vote matters. The Pentagon is announcing new policies to abolish Trump's transgender military ban. We knew this would come under the Biden administration, thankfully. I say anyone who wants to sign up and join the military during these outrageous times, kudos, please come on board. They need all the help they can get at this point. France is shutting down again for the 3rd time due to COVID, so I guess they're not following regulations because they are shutting down. New York has legalized recreational marijuana, big deal there, so hopefully a lot of arrests those numbers will be going down. Sarah Palin tested positive for COVID. Sarah Palin, who was anti-mask, anti-COVID, anti-all of that, now is saying, hey guys, COVID is real. Make sure and wear your mask. I can't believe this happened to me, but make sure you wear your mask. Yeah, thanks, Sarah Palin. It's always the situation of it's not real until it hits home, and then it hits home, and it's like, oh, wow. Kind of like Nancy Reagan with stem cell research. Okay, Russia is stepping up aggression against Eastern Europe. No surprise. Putin likes to test every new president. He, of course, tried to literally take over Ukraine in the last 2 months of Obama's administration. And Obama finally stepped in at the very last minute and got involved. And so we'll see what's happening there. The rumor is that the relations between Russia and America, Russia is saying is an all-time low, which, again, doesn't surprise me. So keep an eye out for Russia and America. This is what I want to say about Russia before I move on. Russia doesn't want us to crumble completely as a country. What Russia wants is us to be divided as a country. Putin is a product who was a member of the KGB. He saw his entire country go from this powerful Soviet Union to the economically weak Russia that he oversees. He wants us to feel the pain that he felt watching the Soviet completely crumble. And he's trying to acquire as many pieces of land as he can. He's teaming up with China. He's teaming up with Iran. He's teaming up with North Korea to build this sort of wall to take down America and make us completely divided. And in some ways, it's worked. His propaganda that he's put into our social media, that people believe the fake news, the real fake news, not the Donald Trump fake news, has divided us. And it's worked. So the next time that you see something or you see an article or really think back of where this stems from. Because if you're an American, you should be really pissed off that Russia is having any effect on our country whatsoever. And he is. Senator Kelly helped administer COVID vaccines the other day. People were in their cars and he was literally administering them. So that was fun to see. Senator Kelly, of course, is up for re-election. Very quickly turnaround in Arizona in 2022. A North Carolina cop had to resign immediately after a video went viral showing him body slamming a dog, a canine dog, into a car hood. He was asked to resign pretty much the second that the video hit social media, and there we have it. It's very interesting, though, that a cop is asked to resign immediately after body slamming a canine, which totally agree, should not have a job. But they seem to struggle of asking for resignation when, I don't know, they kill a person or they put their knee on a person and they can't breathe and they're screaming for life. And yeah, so that's interesting. Senator Scott of Florida is very optimistic that Senator Grassley will run for another term. Senator Grassley is 87. So it must be great to be a male politician, that everyone is rooting for you at 87 to run for re-election, where if you're a woman at 87 and you have 4 more years left in your term, you're told to go sit down. So that's great. Maybe Rick Scott should look at the polling in Iowa and maybe not embarrass Senator Grassley because they don't want him anymore. So there's that. AOC went on Rachel Maddow last night. Rachel Maddow called her one of the most influential members of Congress. One of the many reasons I don't want you anymore, Rachel. And AOC also called on Biden to raise the infrastructure bill to $10 trillion. Again, Biden's bill is $2 trillion, but she's saying, no, I want $10 trillion. Yeah, and I do too. And I wish that unicorns were real. And, $2 trillion is monumental, and it can completely transform our country. And if we actually invest year after year after year, we won't have to ever make a huge $1 trillion investment in infrastructure ever again. It could be a bunch of smaller plans, but $2 trillion isn't enough. She wants $10 trillion. And she also took credit for pushing Manchin further to the left. Yeah, I don't think that was you, AOC. I think that was, again, President Biden giving his wife a job. There's that. That's the promise that they must have made in their meeting that they had to get him on board with the COVID bill. But you want to take credit, AOC. You take all the credit you can get, right? Their gun background checks have soared in March, probably because we've had this soar in mass shootings. Hillary Clinton was on a podcast recently, and she said we have to stop pretending that we are not a gun-obsessed culture. It's beyond now Second Amendment. It's beyond, right to carry. This is a gun-obsessed country, and what are we going to do about it? So, as usual. Major League Baseball is officially back. Today is opening day. The Nationals and the Mets had to cancel their opening day game due to COVID. They will reschedule that. Now the big question is, will they move the All-Star game, which I have told you guys before is in Atlanta? President Biden says he fully supports that. He has no say in any of that. Obviously, it's a private business. But put your money where your mouth is. That's what I got to say. But welcome back, baseball. Full regular season. They're allowing people in the stands, limited capacity. Very excited. The country needs this. It'll be great. Kobe Bryant's daughter got into USC this weekend, and her mom posted the cutest video of her reacting and responding. And I know she's a really smart girl, so way to go. Texas overnight, like literally in the middle of the night, advanced a voting law, much like Georgia's, suppressing early voting and drop boxes through their state Senate. So it's slowly moving through their legislation branch and will land on Abbott's desk very soon. So keep an eye out on Texas. They're doing the same thing in Michigan because, of course, Michigan is a Republican-ran legislation. So this is going to be happening all over the place. And again, this all stems back to 2013 when Roberts and his crew decided that the Voting Rights Act was no longer needed and that states no longer had to check in with the federal government if they wanted to change anything in terms of laws. So, yeah, I think it's like 1,000 voting places will be closed in Texas. Texas is a massive state. They need every polling station they can get. But, all right. Michael Rapaport, the actor, got into it with Kevin Durant, the basketball player, of course. And apparently they had some type of friendship, and their friendship went sour. And he then turned around, Michael Rapaport, and sent out publicly their private text back and forth, which Kevin Durant seems to be saying misogynistic and homophobic slurs. So that has turned into a very ugly situation. I think Michael Rapaport is a talented actor, but personally, I think he, that's a weird thing, right? The private text, and you think you're safe, and obviously, homophobic slurs and misogyny, not okay with, but obviously Michael Rapaport was okay with it until they got into it, because nowhere in the text does he say, like, don't say that, man, or, I kind of feel like there's guilt there as well, but we'll see what happens, but it's been drama. All right, President Biden is officially meeting with his whole cabinet. It happened today, this morning. I think that there's still, I don't have a watch on, so I don't know why I just did that, but I think that they're still in the meeting. He's calling for a couple of his cabinet members to take on special tasks for the American Rescue Plan to break that down. And he also, one other thing, they've announced that he's waiting on legal memos before forgiving student debt, including the $50,000, which a lot of people want. I'm here to tell you, I didn't go to law school, but I've looked a lot into this. The legal memos are going to come back and say this is near impossible to do from the stance of the Constitution and what the president is allowed to do and isn't allowed to do. But the fact that he's saying he's waiting on legal memos means, you guys, he's not going to do it. And they're going to have to, oh my gosh, actually legislate. What else? Elon Musk is donating $30 million to schools in Texas, in the city in which he's building his new big plant. I just want to say that he, of course, is leaving California. He was up in the Bay Area, right outside of Oakland. And the plant where he used to, the plant before it was Tesla, was Toyota. And it supplied thousands of jobs. And I get the taxes in California are through the roof, but Elon Musk, you're one of the richest guys in the world. But he's taking away those jobs and he's going to Texas and he's trying to take a stand, and I get that. However, I grew up in that area. I know how important that plant is. It used to be called NUMMI. So many guys that I went to high school with went straight there, and they made a really, really good living working at the plant and working their way up, building these cars. So I'm sad to see this. I'm grateful that he's giving money to Texas schools, but, we'll see. Cuomo's book deal negotiations overlapped with hiding nursing home deaths. So on top of the woman issue, people keep saying, about the woman issue, it's not really whatever people are saying, but he also has a nursing home issue, you guys. So his book deal negotiations, they tried to cover up the nursing home because he wanted a book deal. So this story just keeps growing and growing and growing. Vice President Harris will officially move into the Naval Observatory. That's the house in which the vice president lives, next week. It hasn't been ready. They've been doing all kinds of stuff to it. So she's officially moving in. Supreme Court stands with large broadcast companies. It loosens media ownership rules. So it gives power to big broadcast companies. It was a unanimous decision. So, all right. Democrats have their sights set on taking down Lauren Boebert, whatever her name is, in 2022. They're already searching for candidates to fill that seat. They think it's a seat that we can flip, maybe because she's just too crazy even for the crazy. So that's someone that they're hoping to flip. I said that already, excuse me. The FDA is approving 2 rapid at-home COVID tests. So that's positive news. And I just want to end with this, that 4 people are dead after a shooting in Orange, California yesterday, including 1 child. It's the 3rd mass shooting in 2 weeks. So, again, we're a culture that is obsessed with guns and gun violence. Let's break into a little more. Okay, so everyone knows about Congressman Gaetz. Everyone knows about Jeffrey Epstein. Everyone knows about those big names, those big scandals of sex trafficking rings. But there's a lot more than that, guys. That just gets publicity because, Jeffrey Epstein was this billionaire, or we think he's a billionaire. No one really knows his money, who was doing it across, multiple countries and New York and his private island. And it was oh my God. And recruiting girls with other girls and just crazy, 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 crazy. But again, he's not the only one, not even near the only one. 200,000 American children are at risk for trafficking into the sex industry. 200,000 children. Okay, much bigger than Jeffrey Epstein. It wasn't officially illegal until 2000. W. Bush signed into law to protect sex traffickers. So sex trafficking, even with children, was not illegal until 2000. United States, Mexico, and the Philippines are ranked one of the worst in the world. Y'all, we are ranked with Mexico and the Philippines. Just so you guys know, Mexico is a 3rd world country with resorts, and the Philippines is a 3rd world country. And we are ranked one of the worst in the world with those 2 for sex trafficking with children. California, Texas, and Florida are the 3 big states that sex trafficking with children happens. Not surprising. They're massive states. They have a lot of land. A lot of powerful people with a lot of money who do disgusting, vile things. Now, the children raised in foster care have a greater chance of being sex trafficked for obvious reasons. Like their social worker is overworked, and even though she's only supposed to be in charge of 10 children, she's now in charge of 100 children. So therefore, the ones that seem to be doing okay don't really get looked after, and next thing you know, the kid's in a sex trafficking ring. 60% of child victims the FBI recovered were from foster care. 60% that the FBI are taking in. 88% of these children that the FBI have recovered were on welfare at some point. So the extremely poor. Nothing about this surprises me. Jeffrey Epstein, 90% of the girls that he went after and he groomed were from broken homes, were abused, were, from the poor part of town, because it's easy to convince girls to do things who are in horrific situations that he's going to send them to school, he's going to, pay for all of their bills, whatever it is. But this happens every single day. I'm so happy that Gaetz is everyone is aware of what's going on, because that's a much bigger story that's going to open wide up. Like I said earlier, there's a man in Florida, a very powerful man who's very friendly with a lot of politicians. He's saying names right now, and he apparently is involved in a big sex trafficking ring. But these things are happening all over, and usually people think, oh, it's like children who are brought in here, like all of these migrant children who are coming in from Mexico and Honduras and Guatemala. And it's true, there's a lot of them who sadly are used as sex traffickers. However, there's a lot of American kids. And the fact that we're in the same ranking as Mexico and the Philippines is pretty disgusting. So we can't claim to care about children in this country. We can't claim to care about the migrant children who are coming into this country. We can't claim to care, because the proof is we don't. We've allowed this to happen year after year after year, and then everyone's outraged when Jeffrey Epstein breaks through. You shouldn't be outraged. You should be mad, absolutely, disgusted 100%. But now we have to push that aside and actually have action, because this shouldn't be happening. And if the proof is telling us that our foster children and our children who are living in poor areas, in poor environments, are the most vulnerable, then why aren't we helping them? At the very least, we should agree as a country that the children of this country should not be vulnerable to sex trafficking. We claim ourselves to be the best country in the world, and don't get me wrong, I love my country. But man, oh man, does she piss me off sometimes. And this is one of those. So those are the facts. That is the truth. So if you really want to make a difference, get yourself involved. Okay, there are plenty of programs to get involved to help foster children who are highly looking for help, highly looking for something. And just think, if you help, you can make the difference. So these numbers should outrage you. And remember, it is much bigger than Congressman Gaetz, and it's much bigger than Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so we are back to doing one word. No Daily Dissent for me today. I feel pretty excited because baseball's starting, I guess, maybe. But we're going to do one word, House of Representatives. Pelosi's not in it, so it'll be some different names. So, ready, Sam?
Yep. All right, McCarthy.
Oh, my God. right out the gate, you go, McCarthy. Okay. Oh, God. Desperate.
Cheney.
El Diabla, right? Female version of the devil.
Underwood.
Oh, I mean, she's fantastic. I mean, just fantastic.
Gaetz.
Oh, gosh. I mean, the easiest one, right? Pedophile.
AOC.
Oh, my God. AOC. Fraud.
Macbeth.
Oh, Lucy Macbeth. Survivor.
Dingle.
Oh, my girl from Michigan. Straightforward. I know it's 2 words, but still, yeah. Straightforward.
Last one, Jordan.
Enabler. Yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, make sure you check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, if you want to listen, make sure and listen on iTunes, Spotify, and of course on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Until next time, OG of the HRC, signing out.